What is good, everyone? So Battlefield 6 came out with some patch notes showing what they're going to be fixing, changing here for Season 1. They've also been hinting at their upcoming Battle Royale, which we'll get into here within the video. So let's not waste any time and let's just hop straight into it. This came out on the official Battlefield Twitter, update 1.1.1.0. That's kind of a crazy update. Goes live Tuesday, October 20th, aka the start of Season 1. Basically improved core movement animations, reworked weapon dispersion for better aligned accuracy and handling over range, significant visibility and lighting improvements, audio overhaul, UI, HUD updates, and map fixes across the modes. And of course, we'll go in depth here on all of that. Okay, so I'll go through here and read, the patch notes and stuff to you guys, but we're going to summarize some of the stuff up and make sure it's in more like layman's terms. So it can be understood for absolutely everybody, because not everyone's like an absolute wizard or nerd with some of this and does this for a living like me. So let's hop in here. Of course, this update's going to go live at 9 UTC or 15 UTC for Season 1. Basically, 15 UTC for me is going to be 10 a.m. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, so that is Central Time Zone. Basically, if you're on East Coast, that's going to be 11 or noon, and if you're going to be on West Coast, that's like 9 a.m. So pretty standard update time, just to kind of keep you guys up to date with that. It says the Season 1 update marks the next step in our ongoing journey to evolve and expand the Battlefield 6 experience. This includes fixes, balance changes, and quality of life improvements focused on a polished performance and player feedback to deliver an even smoother experience moving forward. So let's get here some of the major updates, and of course there's much more down below, but we'll just get into some of the major ones here. So improved core movement and animations, including smoother landings, faster stance transitions, better vaulting behavior, and reduced bouncing issues on landing or spawning. That's something that's actually pretty nice. If you've noticed, going from prone to standing or trying to kind of go and do different things, it's felt like there's a bit of a dead spot in between the animation. You get stuck in some of those. I understand Battlefield's supposed to be more grounded, not as like, instant as, let's say, something like Call of Duty, but there has been some of that issue there, so I'm glad. And of course, some of the bouncing everyone's felt on, like, let's say you walk over a car tire, and then you randomly bounce up. Like, it's kind of funny, but I think they don't really intend for that to happen. Next up is reworked weapon dispersion, aka Bloom. That's what we all been talking about, to better align accuracy in handling with each weapon's intended design and performance of ranges. These changes address cases where accuracy behaved inconsistently, such as dispersion not properly settling after sprinting, and bring overall firing behavior closer to the intended balance between precision, control, and weapon power. That doesn't really give like an in-depth, dive into that, but basically they just reworked Bloom. So we should have less bloom, which is fantastic. We don't need as much of that. It makes a lot of the gunfights feel like shoot first, die first. You don't understand why your shots aren't hitting, even though you may be standing still. Maybe get like, suppressed. It's just kind of annoying. It makes the game a little bit more random, and we don't want that. Next up, significant visibility and lighting improvements with better exposure transitions, interior lighting, and reduced fog and smoke persistence. That's absolutely huge, because everyone's been talking about going from inside to going to outside, and it's like you're looking into a literal flashlight, a ginormous flashlight, and you can't see from inside a building to outside a building. When you get out there, it's just blinding you. Like, we have flashlights that are blinding in game, and then of course the environment blinds you anyway. So it's like you're getting blinded quite a bit, and we don't really need that. That's a great update. Audio overhaul, adding new projectile, flybys, destruction, explosion sounds, refined vehicle and weapon mixes, and improve haptic feedback across multiple interactions. Personally, I don't really think this was like needed. I think that was something that's perfectly fine. I didn't think the audio really had any issues. I could hear everything. I thought everything sounded great. I've been running the War Tapes audio, so for me, that's fine. But I mean, hey, if they want to update it, I guess if they need to fix it, that's fine. After that, though, we have, of course, UI and HUD updates for clarity and consistency, including overtime indicators, end of round fixes, and new unlock markers for weapons and gadgets. I think that's actually nice. I think the UI and HUD is something that's a bit of a sore spot with people trying to figure out how things could be not as cluttered or how to have things look better. I've tried to put out some settings videos showcasing how to have a better HUD, but overall, that's that. Next up, map fixes across multiple locations, resolving spawn animations, out-of-bounds issues, misaligned assets, and general stability across Conquest, Breakthrough, Rush, and Rush modes. Basically, what all this means is anyone, I'm sure, has played like some of the maps in the game right now, like Sobek City is kind of one of those maps that I will actually avoid like the plague, because it's impossible to play. Like, as soon as someone starts getting on top of those construction buildings, you really have no counter to be able to get up there. honestly, especially like in Breakthrough or something. So when you start playing these maps and modes, it's like there are certain ones that I literally go into the server browser and I check off because I'm not going to go play them, as there's buildings that people can get on top of and totally mess up your ability to play the game, play the map, and it's just not fun. So I'm glad that they're doing that. We'll have to see how they mess with the ladders and how they mess with like to be able to actually hammer the drones, because people can get on top of literally any building in this game, and we don't really need that to be a thing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there is a lot of like micro adjustments in here. Like they have players, so there's so many different things that are gonna be happening here. We don't really have to go over all this. These are gonna be things that you may not really take into consideration. Like, I mean, for instance, fix an animation delay when opening doors while sliding. I mean, that's a nice little quality of life, you know, update, but none of these are going to be huge. And I'm not going to spend, you know, the next 25 minutes talking about all these things. Frankly, I don't really care to, and I think they're going to be good, but we don't have to go over all these things in detail. But a tab I do want to take a little bit of time on is actually going to be the weapons tab here. So like I said, weapon dispersion has been rebalanced to better match each weapon's damage profile across all ranges. Lower damage weapons will now see a slightly higher increase in dispersion when firing, while higher damage weapons will experience slightly less. To me, I'm kind of interpreting this as they're going to make the higher damage weapons have less bloom and lower damage weapons have more bloom. I'm not sure if I'm reading that correctly, but I don't know if that's even worded correctly. That'd be cool if they actually just called it bloom or gave an example, like a picture update, like a before and after or something else like that. That'd be really nice, but nonetheless, they are still working on a fix for bloom, and I imagine it'll be significantly better. Using sniper rifles with any class other than recon will no longer increase weapon spread. Instead, weapon sway will now begin during the zoom transition, maintaining balance and distinguishing recon's precision advantage. And those are really the only things you guys have to take note of here in this weapons tab. Now we can just move on down to the maps and modes. I think the one thing in the maps and modes you guys should be excited about is improved fog and smoke effects after destruction to prevent them from lingering too long and impacting visibility. Sometimes the game does get very foggy, very smoky. I mean, it's kind of like a battle of the environment. Like, your greatest enemy sometimes in the game can be the sun and the environment. So it's not the players you're playing against, it's the fact that you can't see. So that's really nice, and I'm glad they're doing that. The rest of the stuff in here is really relatively minor, and I think everything else was kind of fine already. Down here in the maps, I was looking it all over, and I did not see them specifically address like people using ladders to get up onto things they're not supposed to, or using drones and hitting them to be able to get up onto things. Maybe I just have misread over all of this stuff, but they didn't directly address that, so I'm interested to see if that will be fixed in season 1. And then for Portal here, there was nothing that they specifically addressed about the XP gains and sort of like the bot lobby farms in Portal. Nothing wrong with people doing that. The only downside, I think, really is that it kind of inflated your stats. No, I have no issue with people unlocking attachments and stuff in Portal. Don't really care. It doesn't affect anyone's gameplay experience, but they did take away XP. You can still complete challenges, but you can't earn XP or nothing. So I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with that, but we'll see when the season comes out. And then last but certainly not least, I want to talk about this here real quick. So we have Battlefield RedSec is Battlefield 6's new Battle Royale mode. So I briefly covered this in my other video, but the general code name that they've been going over that is kind of in the files right now is RedSec. So not sure about this name, but there has been other people that have pointed out things that, for instance, we thought the name Apex Legends was a little bit interesting when it dropped, but it ended up being, of course, a household name. It's been going on for years, been massively popular and successful. So we're just gonna have to see how RedSec pans out as an actual name. Some people were thinking they were gonna do something like Firestorm, which was the previous name for Battlefield's Battle Royale. I think it came out in Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5. You did actually have to own the game in order to play it, so that really stifled its ability to actually gain any traction. But this is going to be free to play, and it is basically shadow dropping here within the season update. They're probably going to put out a trailer, I would say probably day before, maybe on the 27th, and it's going to be saying comes out tomorrow, and that is going to be the way they're doing this. I did mention this in my previous video, but the creator of Apex Legends, Vince Impella, who is now the head of Battlefielder, has been the head of Battlefield. When they did their drop on Apex, they basically dropped the trailer and it said, hey, it comes out tomorrow, you know, hop on and play, it's free. So I'm thinking because of how well that launched, I was there for it. I was around and really I remember the hype around it. I'm thinking that they're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to shadow drop it, and that's how they're going to do it. It's just going to come out, it's going to drop on everybody, and it's going to be free to play, and I'm actually excited for that. So that's what I got for you guys here in today's video. Just wanted to go over the patch notes, stuff like that, be able to show you guys like what's going to be happening, things you should be understanding, paying attention to. So if you guys enjoyed this video, want to stay up to date with stuff, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, as notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see y'all next time.